And I'd like to first and foremost acknowledge the staff that we have here for the Chamber of Commerce. Monica Nolan, CEO. Emma Miller, you have a title that has everything in it, right? We appreciate her. And also would like to acknowledge our Chamber Board. If you wouldn't mind standing up if you're part of the Chamber of Commerce Board of Directors. Thank you very, very much. Judy, you're fine. Without them, we can't get things done. Want to acknowledge some of the elected officials that are here today or representatives thereof. Terry DeBose, where are you at? There you are in the back. District Representative for Congressman Doug LaMalfa, thank you. Tasha Weaver, District Representative for Senator Brian Dahle. Doug Teeter, our own Doug Teeter, County Supervisor. Steve Crowder, Mayor for the Town of Paradise. Greg Bolin, Council Member, Town of Paradise. Heidi Lang, Council Member, Town of Paradise. And Melissa Crick, President, Board of Trustees, Paradise Unified School District. And Bill Sherritt, Trustee, Paradise Unified School District. A round of applause. Now I'd like to take a moment to thank Pacific Gas and Electric as our sponsor for this event. We want to thank you as the Gas and Electric Company for sponsoring today's event in total. We appreciate the continued support of our Ridge-based PG&E team and the productive partnership we've built. We also like to extend special thanks to Brenda Narayan, PG&E's Government and Public Affairs Representative. Brenda's open communication and genuine commitment to our community have helped foster a strong, productive relationship that continues to support the Ridge's progress. Please join me in acknowledging PG&E and all they do and the help that they have shared. Brenda, could you please stand? Where is Brenda? There she is, thank you. We'll get started on this right away because we know we have a lot of information we want to share with you. Paradise Ridge Chamber of Commerce President Warren Bullock, welcome the opening remarks, sir.
All right, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank you all for being here on behalf of the Paradise Ridge Chamber of Commerce and would like to welcome you to this year's Paradise Perspectives event. It is an honor to stand before you as we gather to reflect on where we've been, where we are, and where we're headed as a community. Today's program is about progress and not just statistics or construction milestones, but about the spirit and resilience of people who call Paradise home. Our local businesses have and will continue to be the backbone of that recovery. Every open sign in a storefront, every job created, and every service provided is a testament to the determination and grit that define our Ridge. But none of this happens in isolation. The road to recovery has been paved by collaboration amongst the Chamber of Commerce, the Town of Paradise, Butte County, the Paradise Recreation and Park District, Paradise Unified School District, the Rebuild Paradise Foundation, Adventist Health, Paradise Irrigation District, and many other dedicated organizations and foundations. Just as vital has been the commitment and investment of citizens, like so many of you here today, whose presence and participation continue to move Paradise forward. These partnerships have transformed challenges into opportunities and have brought vital resources and significant momentum to the rebuilding efforts of our beloved community. As we hear from today's presenters, each offering an update on a different piece of our shared story, let us be reminded that recovery is not a single finish line, but a journey that we are walking together. And together, we are making Paradise stronger than ever. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being invested in our community. And thank you for believing in the future of Paradise. Let's get started.
Inspiring words from our president. We thank you very much. I would like to now introduce Mr. Jim Goodwin with the Town of Paradise Town Manager.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Chamber of Commerce, for hosting this. Great turnout, and so it's wonderful that everybody's taking time this afternoon to hear what's going on in this community. Going to make sure, I tend to wander, so I want to make sure I, don't get away from the mic too far. 2 years for me. I started this job in July of 23, and so as I come up on July of 25, that's the 2-year mark for me being with the town. I'm really appreciative of the fact that when I did this last year, most people I didn't know, and as I look at this crowd today, there's many people that I've had the opportunity to interact with, and I appreciate really the warm welcome that I've had in my role with the town. So thank you all for that. We're going to go to the first slide, and my clicker gets me there. There we go. So this is just going to be a quick overview. I have 15 minutes to do this presentation. I know somebody has a hook that if I start to go too far into this, that I'll get moved on. So just, by the numbers, what's happening in the town? Our population is now just over 11,000. That's a 7% growth over last year's 16% growth from the year before. So one thing that we'll notice is we add about the same amount of people every year. Our percentage growth is going to go down as we actually become a larger community. And so what that means is that when we build roughly 300 homes a year, we add about 1,000 people to the town's population. And that is what's currently going on. Single-family homes, again, 386 in the last year. And what our building department is sharing is that we are actually running ahead of the last 2 years, year to date, in terms of how many homes we are finaling in the community. So we continue to have a robust building program in the community. We've rebuilt 663 multifamily units. And again, our trend is that we are actually continuing to build at a strong rate. So you can see those numbers. I have some budget numbers for you. We have a 9.43 general fund revenue, which is really our tax dollars that is coming in. But we are running a deficit, as you all know, right now of about just under $13 million. And I want everybody to know and understand, you see the town's budget, that's planned. We knew that we were going to have to operate as a much bigger city because of the footprint of what the town is than what the population is as we continue to rebuild. So we will continue to do that. And council is very focused on watching those numbers and wanting to see that deficit get reduced over time. So eventually the town's revenues and the town's expenditures in that general fund category are actually matching. So 40% of our prior housing stock has been built, about 40% of our prior population. More newcomers to the community are families, and that's really important for us as we look at the future. We actually see that as we add families, as we add new people to the community, we're actually increasing our assessed valuation, increasing the number of people to buy product in the community. And as we can add more local sales to that, that's better for our future as we go forward. I'll go to the next slide. As we rebuild, and this is a question we often get, what are you doing differently as you rebuild to try to ensure that what happened to the town in 2018 never happens again? Well, we know naturally there's a lot of fuel that's just gone. We know that. That's just obvious. But in addition to that, we are becoming as a community an absolute leader in building fire-resistant homes in the community. And the effort that the town is putting in to managing fuel in the community, safe space around homes, working with property owners to make sure that they're actually taking care of their properties, all of that effort is going in to building a stronger, more fire-resistant community as we build back. And that's a really, really healthy thing. So we'll continue those efforts as we go into the next year. Public safety, 61% of our budget is public safety. So we often talk, and I will today, about all the building going on and all the things that we're doing and the programs that are in place. But again, the core of municipal services is police and fire. And so 61% of our resources go into that. And right now we're really doing a great job. We have gotten to a point where we are fully staffed in our PD. We have completely brought dispatch back locally, and we have filled out our team for dispatch. We have enhanced our animal control staff. We are in the process of expanding and improving our animal control facility in the community. So really, public safety is taking a big leap forward, and that's going to sustain at those levels for several years to come. So in essence, we've kind of front-loaded our investment in public safety recovery, and that's going to help everyone in the community obviously be safe And again, that number is going to hold as we go forward into the future. So we also are on the verge of signing a 4-year agreement with CAL FIRE, so we'll be extending that relationship. If you want to know more about what that looks like, come to the council meeting on June 10th, because that is when council will consider that contract, and CAL FIRE will actually provide very detailed information in terms of what the value is of partnering with CAL FIRE for our fire protection. And again, I've mentioned that our animal control facility is under renovation, and that will be open in the fall of this year. So we're looking forward to that project moving forward. Measure V impact. I want to mention this. I am not going to try to capture everything on the slide, but I just visually want you to see the impact. Since 2021, Measure V has generated just under $6 million in revenue, and by council policy, that is going directly into sustaining public works, animal control, police and fire, and improving our tools that we have to deliver those services. And so all of these items that you see over these years are direct product of Measure V in the community. And so just know that it's on a 10-year cycle. Yeah, please clap. I mean, that's really tremendous. So Measure V is, we're kind of midpoint in its 10-year life, and 2030, that's going to be up for reconsideration. So I just encourage you to continue to track the great things that are happening with Measure V. Also want to draw your attention to the fact that we have an opportunity on our Measure V Oversight Committee for someone from the community to serve. And so the town clerk is taking applications right now for someone to be considered for appointment to that Measure V Oversight Committee. So if you have an interest in that, I'd encourage you to submit an application, and then the council will make a choice from that applicant pool. Road repaving. Everybody loves this, right? Yes, yes. I've learned in my 2 years just how much fun it is being in a community that is under constant construction, right? So, but no, we are working hard to get to the end of it, and that means that a lot is going to happen this year. So we will be between finishing up projects from last year and doing what we call our on-system and on-system paving work this year. On-system meaning those major roads and collectors that serve the community. Off-system meaning all of the local public roads in the community, local streets. We are going to pave 33.7 miles of road before the end of the year. So yeah, you can get excited about that and not, right? When you know that there's going to be a lot of inconvenience. It is part of this rebuild cycle, this life that we're in terms of this time in the community. I do want to draw your attention right here on the bottom of this slide. We are very interested in knowing when things aren't going well. And so when you experience something in the community that you just don't think should be happening in relation to these construction projects, I want to encourage you to call us. And Karen, write down that number. Karen is the contact person. She'll take those complaints. They'll go right to Mark Maddox, our Public Works Director, and we will make sure that we take care of things that shouldn't be happening. But what we can't get rid of is inconvenience in construction. That is just going to happen. And so we really just ask for your patience as we continue to push through and try to get all this done. The sewer, another big issue that I know many in this room care very deeply about. You know, the key thing is just understanding that back in the fall of last year and leading up to December, we became very clearly aware that the state was only going to make $27 million available for the project. And so whether this project was $100 million, $200 million, $300 million, or $450 million, is what we think it is, there was only $27 million available to supplement the money that we already have. It just was not going to be a feasible project. And so the council wrestled with that and made the difficult decision to redirect the project away from a regional connection with the city of Chico and looking to a localized treatment, collection and treatment program. We are in the process of evaluating that right now. Council has an ad hoc committee, which is Mayor Crowder and Councilmember Lang are our ad hoc committee. They're working with staff. We also have Paradise Irrigation District involved because of the natural affinity between a water utility and a potential sewer utility, and so they are involved actively in this exploration with us. We are looking for what will actually be the best option that we can pursue, and really how we're approaching this is that we have approximately $65 million that we have, and I have to emphasize how important that is to you. The town has been working for 50 years to get to a sewer. Never before have we had $65 million to actually get a project in the ground. And that's what we're working with right now, and that is what our goal is to find what increment of a project can we get in the ground right now with what we have that can be expanded over time to serve the sewer area that is really the commercial areas in Clark Road, Skyway, across Pearson. That's ultimately the build out, but we know we can't do that all at once. So we want to see what we can get in the ground and do it in a way that we can grow it and expand it over time. So that is really the goal. Put August down on your calendar with a big X, because right now the goal is to try to get to a preferred alternative and get that before council in August, and then we would move forward with whatever revised environmental review we need to do, and that's going to push the project forward. So working really, really hard to make this a reality, and everybody was disappointed when we had to make the change, but again, we are really getting close to being able to deliver something. Finally, ParadiseSewer.com has up-to-date information and is being kept up to date all the time. So if you want to just track the project, just use ParadiseSewer.com as your way to do that. Coming up soon, so we do other things, right? So we do the, our core services, police and fire, building services. We are trying to rebuild infrastructure in the community, as I just talked about. But the council is, also directing other initiatives to try to help with the rebuild of the community. And this is just our part. And I really love the fact that the chamber has brought all the partners together. In my history, I've been in 2 other communities where the municipality did water, sewer, parks and recreation, public safety, kind of did it all, right? It's really nice to have partners that we can collaborate with to make things happen. And that is such a hallmark of this community, the level of collaboration that takes place. And so real quick, and I'll be done. BizPro Academy. On the table over here, we have this flyer. What we are trying to do is we've learned that we get most complaints about our building process that come from 2 directions. One is a sole proprietor business person that knows their business really well, but decided to be an owner builder and doesn't know the building process very well. So that's one avenue where we get complaints. The other complaint comes actually from people that have never been in business before, want to be in business, don't really know what goes on in being in business yet because they haven't done it yet, and also don't know the building process. So what we want to do is we want to help expand the opportunities for them to get help in the community. So our BizPro program that we're launching is designed to teach volunteers in the community, people like you who are willing, to understand what our building process entails, understand what permits are required by the town, but also what's required from the state of California or from the county, because it's not all the town, right? So we want to make sure that we help educate people in the community so that when you hear complaints from people in the community, I can't get anything done, I'm so frustrated, we're going to have more people than just town employees or council members that get so many of those complaints to be able to say, here, let me help you because I know something about this. And so this is going to be next week, next Thursday from 8:30 to noon at Town Hall. And we are going to actually take you through what it takes for every kind of business category in the community to be able to get cited in the community. And then for those people that are new to business, we're going to have 3Core who does financing. We're going to do the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, that does counseling and try to make sure that, again, we have advocates out in the community that understand how to help someone and are willing to help someone and have the tools to help someone. So anybody interested? Oh, come on, raise a hand. There we go. So get this block, get signed up, and we'll go from there. You can tell us how we did afterwards. Utility box murals, council put in motion a plan. We own 16 utility boxes in a way to enhance the community. We will over time be creating murals on all 16 of those utility boxes, and we have 8 of those in progress right now. We are also in phase 3 of our downtown plan. Phase 1 was a moratorium on single-family homes in the walkable downtown so that we actually preserve a walkable downtown without single-family homes in the center of it. Then we went to phase 2, which was to finalize the zoning for what would be allowed and not allowed in that walkable downtown. And phase 3 is an action plan to help us actually move forward and move a vision into reality. And so that's what phase 3 is. And you'll be hearing more about that as we go forward, but that's underway. Last 2 things is that we were able, through resources from the federal government, to update our long-term recovery plan. Originally done in 19, updated in 22. This will be a comprehensive update that will allow us many years to come to stay on track and what it means to rebuild this town. To really, the status is maybe the best community in Butte County, right? Isn't that what we want to achieve? I think so. And then finally, similarly, our general plan. We have 5 elements of the general plan that need to be updated. General plan hasn't been updated since 1994. We will be approving the contract in August to get that general plan update moving forward and get it done. So, lot in my 15 minutes. I hope I didn't go too far over, and I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jim. A lot of information to absorb. I'd like to now introduce the President and CEO of Adventist Health and Rideout Feather River Health Center, Mr. Chris Champlin.
Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing for healthcare in the region for the next few minutes. I too like to wander, so I'll try to stay put. This is going to be a test. We divided this up into our vision and our goals for the area. I think by now everybody knows that our focus is really on building clinic systems. What you may not know is that the government, insurers, people who pay for the insurance are really pushing volume into clinics, into ambulatory spaces. So think about your doctor's office, your specialist office, your ambulatory surgery centers, your ambulatory imaging centers. We have neighborhood clinics kind of thing where if you are taking the kids to school in the morning, your primary care doctor is open already. After work, you still have late hours. Those neighborhood clinics kind of feed up into more regional clinics like we have here at Skyway, which is a multi-specialty clinic. Those feed up into, again, the ambulatory surgery and ambulatory imaging, and then eventually they feed up into hospitals. And the design for healthcare that the government is really pushing us to is just a few hospitals, kind of commoditized, and lots of clinics with focus on primary care. So really, establishing clinics is really kind of what we're focusing our efforts on here and throughout California. Some of our goals here for this particular area is to establish a really robust clinic system. We were talking earlier today about some of our plans. Primary care, primary care, primary care, right? That's really what we've got to focus on. Getting those well visits in, getting those well children visits done, making sure that the population is healthy and is not needing the higher levels of service. Our goals are really locally is to start getting consistent hours on the rapid care. Any of you who have tried to use the rapid care know that we've struggled to staff that consistently. That's not unique to this community. We were talking earlier, the number of children or young people, I should say, who are going into medicine and healthcare is dwindling every single year. For those of you who are baby boomers like myself, it's kind of terrifying to think that the brightest and best of our students are now going into Instagram. right? I mean, we've got 25-year-old life coaches. When I was 25, I didn't know which end was up. But so now they can go to Instagram or YouTube and they can make $1 million a year, or they go to medical school. They go to 4 years of college, they can go to 4 years of medical school, then go to 2 years of residency, they go to 4 years of internship, and they come out with $1 million of debt. Why do that when you can go to Silicon Valley, or you can go to Wall Street and you can be a millionaire by the time you're 25 or 30? So getting physicians, getting providers across the nation is a struggle. And that has been our struggle here. We were able to bring in a whole bunch of new providers, and we lost them almost as quickly as we brought them in. Why are we losing them? It's not that the community is doing anything wrong. It's a money game. It's a supply and demand, right? So if you have very, very few providers and you have organizations who are desperate for them, it keeps jacking up the price. We're paying nurse practitioners $500,000 a year, right? And as those salaries continue to increase, people are going out to where they are. So it's this kind of combination of lifestyle. I'm here, I'm working 7 days a week, I'm getting paid this, or I can go to a larger community and I can get paid more and work less. So as we are continuing to try to recruit physicians and providers to get constant hours there. I already talked about expanding primary care, specialty care clinics. We're starting to bring more specialty care to the community. We're bringing orthopedic surgeons in. We're bringing surgical podiatrists in. As demand continues to grow, we will continue to bring those specialty services to the clinic. One thing that we've recently done is that we've realigned the clinic leadership and the clinic operations here in Paradise with Rideout in Marysville. Currently, it's aligned with Clear Lake, which is 2.5 hours away. So if we have a closure, one of our providers gets sick or goes on vacation, it's very difficult to get a provider to come across from Clear Lake to fill in. It will be easier, although not terribly easy, but it'll be easier to get someone to come up from Marysville or Yuba City. Looking at ambulatory imaging, I already talked about that, ambulatory surgery centers. The surgery center that's on the campus of the old hospital is in good shape. It really wasn't too impacted by the fire, so there's a possibility that if demand were to be there, we could look at that. Did have a conversation with Enlo recently about whether that was something we wanted to do together. So right now, this is kind of what our immediate vision is: expand, make that clinic system very, very robust. In order for that to be effective, we have to be able to bring providers to the community, and it has to be a stable provider network. And that, again, that's the challenge that we face across the United States, where we're putting a lot of effort into it. So the natural question then is, Chris, what are we doing to recruit more providers? We as an organization just signed a contract with Korn Ferry. Korn Ferry is a national recruiting organization. They have their fingers in every medical school in the United States. We're also working with UC Davis. UC Davis graduates more physicians who return to their home than any other medical school in the United States. So we're looking at ways that we can drive more students from our local markets to UC Davis, maybe possibly help cover the tuition. So again, when they're coming out, they're not millions of dollars in debt in return for years of service work for us. So these are the kinds of things that we're working on to try to attract. And again, please tell your kids to go to med school, not to Instagram. It's just those of us who are in the silver tsunami need it, please. We just finished a $2.4 million expansion of our Skyway Clinic right up the street here. There's still work to do. We brought in dermatology, women's health, women's imaging. The imaging capacities here are really, really state of the art. We have a new MRI working out in the back. We're working on getting some additional services. Again, women's imaging, bone density, mammograms are all available. Surgical podiatry, I've already talked about, and orthopedics and nephrology are coming your way. Let's talk about the assets that Adventist Health here has in the market. We're constantly talking about what we're going to do with the old hospital campus. I was approached about 2, maybe 3 weeks ago with an organization who is interested in acquiring that from us. They've received funding to build a senior living campus. So we're very interested in working with them doing that. We're currently vetting the organization to see what the reality of that is. I'm hoping that there's some legs to it. I think it'd be a great addition to the community, bring in tax revenue, increase housing, and those sorts of things. So working on that. We own property at the bottom of Skyway where the golf course is. That's for sale. So if anybody wants to buy it, give you a great deal on it, $10 million, whatever you want. What I'd like to do is I'd like to take that money and buy the property just north of the Skyway Clinic here. Where the condos used to be, the apartments, that vacant lot there. I think that would be a fantastic place for us to expand. Being over on Pence Road is one thing, but being right here on Skyway where all the traffic is coming up and down, up from Chico, down from Magalia, I think that's really where we want to be. So as we look to expand, I'd like to consolidate here on Skyway Clinic. I'm talking to our leadership about if we can sell that property, repurposing that income from that sale to acquire that property. So that's what we're doing. We also have other property that we own around the town, looking at how we can either rent that out or repurpose that for other clinics. As we were talking this morning in our planning session, as we bring more providers here, if we can't build on the Skyway campus right now, then we'll use some of the other assets we already own. I'll throw out a shocking number, and I hope this shocks you. About 5 years ago, maybe 6 years ago, the cost of building healthcare, building a hospital in California was about $1 million a bed. Right, so you think about a 100-bed hospital, $100 million project. Right before COVID, that went up to about $5 million a bed, right? So 100-bed hospitals now $500 million. Just talking to the folks at UC Davis last week, and their new campus, their new tower is $10 million a bed. 100-bed facility is $1 billion to build. The average cost across California is $9 million a bed. So these costs are just staggering to build. So a lot of this is going to be repurposing what we have, making sure that it's up to code and that we're using it appropriately. I talked about the difficulty in recruiting providers, and really the difficulty we've had is in staffing the walk-in care, the rapid care. We have been very successful in bringing some primary care providers to the community. These are the 5, actually the 4 that are already here, and one that's going to be joining us, I think, in June. So if any of these are your providers, you can wave to them. They are staffing our clinic here. One thing I forgot to talk about too is if the rapid care physician or nurse practitioner is gone for the day, we only have one, so we're having to close the clinic, and then you have to call that phone number that we've posted to see. But the primary care offices are taking walk-in. So you actually can just walk upstairs, and if you don't mind waiting, you can usually get in that same day. So we've had a lot of success bringing nurse practitioners and physicians to the market, and with luck, we're going to be able to retain them. Rapid care hours, I've already talked about that. We added providers, but we lost 2 providers the same year we brought them in. It really wasn't a matter of pay, it was more a matter of lifestyle. They were working 7 days a week. And how many of us can do that for an extended period of time? So we need more providers. We've lost 7 providers overall. But like I said a minute ago, we did sign a contract with Korn Ferry. And we continue to offer incentives for coming to the community. There are things like loan forgiveness. So the students who go to med school and come out will help forgive their loan. We'll help pay that back for them. It's usually a year-for-year service. There are housing loans that they can get that are 0 interest or forgivable. All kinds of incentives. A partnership health plan, for example, is offering, I think it's a $100,000 incentive to come to the community. So we're trying to use all these levers, all these tools that we have at our advantage to bring providers in. Advocacy. I want to talk a minute about advocacy. We have a lot of elected officials here. We have representatives from La Malfa, and I think I saw Gallagher's representative walk in earlier. Healthcare is under attack. You've all heard what's going on in Washington, D.C., cutting $700 billion out of healthcare. Hospitals, healthcare systems are on razor-thin margins. Medi-Cal and Medicare pay less than the cost of delivering the care. They pay less than the cost to deliver care. And we're talking about further cutting the funding. So do yourselves a favor, do our community a favor. Call Congressman La Malfa, call Assemblyman Gallagher. We've got to do something to not cut this cost further. I use the example of retail. If you sell shirts, for example, and you buy a shirt for $50 and you sell it for $100. If our Medi-Cal and Medicare patients came in, we would legally have to sell that shirt to them for $35. That's what it costs, right? So it costs less than what it costs us to deliver that. So there's a lot going on in Washington right now. Put your advocacy voice on, call your elected official, help us make sure that those cuts don't reduce further. It will really devastate our communities further. Constant, transparent communication. We've got our communication team. You guys can wave. Everybody see them. We're trying to make sure that we are constantly putting out information for you. We have the websites that are available for you, phone numbers to call if you have concerns or questions about the healthcare. So that is what we are doing, and I think we'll be around later for questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. A lot of good information. We appreciate that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to bring up the district manager, the Paradise Recreation Parks District, Mr. Dan Efset.
Thank you, Mark. And Chamber, just thank you for putting this on. So I think just coming in here, seeing the number of people here, the speakers, is very, I think, enlightening, and I think gives us a lot of optimism for future and where we are. So I think really appreciate the opportunity to speak today. So thinking about the information that we have as a district makes me think of a giant buffet line, and I have a small plate, a toothpick, and a cocktail napkin. So what I'm going to give you is a little bit of a sampler on some of the stuff that we're working on, and try and give you kind of just some questions you might have. So come and approach our board members that are here today, or come and connect with the. We're very proud of what our crew does with our parks. We have beautiful parks that are well kept, even though some of them are very old. But people take a look at what we have in this community, and it really is an anchor for quality of life, for health and wellness, for people making decisions about living here and visiting here. So I think there's a lot of positive things that we can serve in the community. I was at first going to go into a little bit on the economics and recreation component, but I think it's the community that gets that. We get that all the time. So I appreciate that support. And I'll just mention that this Explore Butte County information is pretty interesting, looking at what the travel information is and what that segment is. Most people coming to Butte County, a lot of them are coming here for the natural resources and beauty. We have a lot of that here, just undeveloped, potential for that. I thought I'd just kind of keep with the outline that Monica provided, just kind of running through some of our grants that we have, some of the facilities that are coming online, and then just some of a little bit on the programs. One thing I'm not going to mention much about, which I have, and Christy will put out on one of the tables, is our activity guide, which has basically your summer, what you can do. So a lot of good activities here. We've added a lot of things as the communities come back, and we've listened quite clearly. We have more camps, more sports-related programs that we're building, a lot of school-related stuff. And I think that there's, a lot of opportunities. For example, we were able to add an extra day for swimming at the pool. We added a whole bunch of swim classes, which we thought, well, demand was okay last year. Those classes sold out. So that was definitely the right move. So the supply demand curve is very strong in this community for that. We're trying to build up on providing more opportunity. And we have about $15 million worth of new projects coming online for the community. These are funds coming from elsewhere. These are state proposition funds, grants that we've been able to secure, and we have a lot of great things coming to the Ridge, to our district. The biggest proposal, the grant that we have is with Lake Ridge Park. So that's a $5.2 million grant, state parks program. Our board gave authorization just recently to pre-purchase items. We found out recently that some of the playground equipment is very expensive, but there's going to be a surcharge kicked in June 1st. So we're going to try and buy some of that now so we can secure some of those better pricing than what it's going to be over the next couple of years. This is going to be a park concluded by 2028, but it's probably going to be completed before then. And there is a component there that we have good outreach here. Just some of the amenities: playground, athletic field, multi-use court, pickleball, basketball, other uses there. Picnic and group sites, adventure play, bike skills, course. And I left off of here is an amphitheater. So we're going to have a little amphitheater, outdoor amphitheater up there, and a building that will serve programming needs and weddings and maybe any kind of great gathering that could be up around in this area. So that's one thing I was going to mention on the design. Go back. Oops, not going to let me. Is that it has a very fire-oriented design. So it's designed to have shaded fire break, shaded forest around it, and then kind of transition into more landscaping, parking, harder scape, and then a good transition into the community. So there's a lot of good, I think, features that will be demonstrated here. A lot of native plants, so it will be very water conservation tolerant, and we overlook Magellan Reservoir, so it needs to be contained with any runoff and all of that. So it's going to be a beautiful site. We hope to open it up soon. We also have, coming our way shortly, will be Paradise Community Center. So we'll have another asset for the community, and the nonprofit that we're working with on this, we're helping fortify that and get it done. You could see this is an old picture, but they've come a long way, and that should be transferred over hopefully in the next few months as we work with them on that completion. Pointing the right way. Just a couple of studies that we have going on. So we have an off-highway vehicle study, Jordan Hill Road and Kudalink, that used to be historically a staging area for a lot of off-highway vehicle use. This property was donated to us just recently, fairly recently. We have a study with the state of California to look at, is that an appropriate use to have that as a staging area? We clearly would like people to go the correct direction, right? So them stay out of the watersheds that provide drinking water, keep those vehicles, those wheels off of there, but give them a place to go that is appropriate, safe, checks all those boxes. So this is a very, I think, careful approach that we're working with a consultant on. This is difficult to see, but if you look on our website, there's information about this. We're going to have some outreach meetings. They're going to collect information and just see what works for the community. And so I think there'll be some good information about education, watershed information, and then kind of appropriate places for people to go if that's the direction it looks like it's going to work. Probably have heard about the buffer project that's looking at a series of strategically located parks in the community. Could be easements on private property too, but they're integrated well with each other. We're working with a bunch of partners, Fire Safe Council, Town of Paradise, and others. Very interesting from a science standpoint, looking at the modeling, some of the insurance costs, how does it protect, and I think it's going to yield a lot of good information for us looking out into the future. That's going to finish up next year. So there's a lot of information. We'll have a public meeting later on this year to dive into that a little bit more. I think it'll be very insightful for the community. Clearly may have some implications for insurance availability and potentially reduction in costs and risk reduction. So just can't lose track of all of that. But that's going to be something interesting with those partners. So here's that cocktail napkin full of samples. So if you see something on there that's interesting to you, come and talk to me or our staff. So what are some challenges? For us, staffing. We lost a big portion of our staff following Camp Fire. So we've been in essentially rebuilding mode, but also tooling for new programs that we have not done before. So that's been a challenge for us, even lifeguards, which is there's a national shortage of them. Probably those doctors could have been lifeguards before they went on to being influencers, but that could be a career path in this community. A lot of them, this is their first job. Workload with anything from a design team to our partners with county and town. There's just a tremendous workload that impacts a lot of these construction projects, especially. We've been very successful, and I think I skipped through it for some reason. There's the Billy Park slide. Did it go? Did it see it? Okay, so there's this is one of the renderings of it, a pump course, bike pump track there. Right now we have $1.4 million for a bike skills course, adventure play, ropes course. This right now we have funding for it to be dirt. We would love it to be asphalted or concreted because then it opens it up for other wheels. It opens it up for skateboards and wheelchairs and of course bikes. But it does give a lot of opportunities for people that want inline skating on a feature like this. It's call now. It's only $30,000 to get it paid, but we don't have funding for that. So those are some little things. We have $1.4 million for the big improvements. There's some frosting on the cake that would make a lot of difference in the community that we need help with. So that's one area. Outreach. We're trying. Chamber's great at it. We're trying to improve our outreach, get the word out there. We're not very good at telling our story. So I think people that have good information and knowledge can share some of that with us, for us, with the community, I think is a huge help for us to get things done and connected with people in the community. And then developing new parks and programs are a challenge. So we're having some challenges with that, but they're exciting, fun challenges that make us wake up every day with some pep in our step. Small thing here, nobody's ever rented from us. It's a hassle, we know it, but we're going to improve our system and make it a little bit more streamlined. So some ways to help. So there's lots of opportunities for us to connect. We have this amazing neighbor-to-neighbor program that has been, I think, fantastic for connecting people. It's had a ripple effect in the community, but I think also our entire county. So there's been a lot of positive things. I see some people nodding that have probably been to some of these events. Very positive. They're great, fun. And I think for us, what has been great on our approach is we've reached out, sought partners. So we have an amazing number of partners that are putting out these things. We hope to build partnerships in the future that they can continue some of these things in the future because I think it's going to be a lot for our community long term. Another QR code if you want to look at those. We have, what do you think we have the next summer here, Christy? How many events are between now and the end of the year? No, I think there is one or two, maybe three things a week between now and the end of the year. We've already had some great things that we tied in with Kids Fishing Day and some of the other things that are kind of established, but we put in a little flair that's more of a connection and connecting people, which has been very exciting. Okay, basic thing you can do is participate. So be part of those events and encourage others to go to. We had a, what was it, not Hot Wheels? Power Wheels last weekend. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. Kids brought their own Barbie Jeeps or G.I. Joe Jeeps or whatever, and they raced around Billy Park. If you want, and then some of the fathers got inventive there and put in like 24-volt batteries in these things, and they rocketed around. So it was just a huge amount of fun. Kids were smiling. It was an experiment for us. We didn't know how it would go. Huge success. So, please support us. If you like it, let us know. If you don't like it or have suggestions, still let us know. We want to do right for the community here. I mentioned partners. That is so vital to us to do anything here. So we need these support, anything from helping to sponsor events, growing those partnerships all the time, and then also, the regular stuff, donation, sponsorship, and collaboration. Maybe you know somebody that has a skill, knowledge that can provide a great class. Maybe it helps your business to have a kind of introductory class through us. So that gives us a chance to get that word out there. I'm really twitchy on the controls here. And then, of course, we have a great volunteer program. It's been an important part of this whole neighbor-to-neighbor aspect. You have a company that is civic-minded. You want to go out and have some fun, yanking broom, doing fuels work, doing trails work, helping an event. So come and talk to us about it. It's a good way to kind of have that civic pride, and then also doing something that helps your community, puts you in connection with them. So that is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
So Dan, you had us at Makes Kids Smile. And we appreciate you greatly and everybody that works with you. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'd like to introduce Paradise Irrigation District Assistant District Manager, Miss Mickey Rich. The Miss Ricky Rich.
Thank you. Let's see if I can get this. There we go. I didn't think I was that much shorter. I told Dan it's really hard to follow parks when your job is water. At least we're not following Paradise Rebuild Foundation, though, so that's good. So PID, your water agency, we really are proud of the fact that we are community-led. That is evident by some of the challenges that we have experienced after the fire and some of the issues with water quality and how we ended up remedying the situation. It was really driven by the community and what the community needs were, something that we're very proud of. After the fire, the water contamination issue happened at the localized, at the homes, in those small little lines right where the meter are. The thought is that the fire sucked in debris and contaminants while our water remained great at Paradise Lake. If you go up there for recreation, it's still pristine. Our treatment plant continued to produce water that's clean, 10 times cleaner than what the state says. You still had that contamination problem right at the properties. And I always equated it to trying to drink clean water out of a dirty cup, right? So it was really those lines that needed to be replaced. So we started the project to remedy the issue, make sure all standing homes and businesses were tested, and made sure that those pipes were clear and safe to run water through. And for anyone who had a damaged lot from the fire, we replaced those pipes. So that project has been going on since 2019 and is slated to finish this summer. So when you look at the project of and the job to replace close to 10,000 service laterals, you're really looking at 10,000 mini projects. So here's the statistics today. We have cleared more laterals than we have customers because we are preparing for the customers that aren't here yet, for the people who are going to buy the lot, so we don't have to go back in there. Today we have over 9,400 customers that are invested in paying some sort of service. And of that 9,400, over 5,600 can turn on the tap and have asked for Active Water to turn on the faucet at their home. And that really goes right along with, Jim's population numbers of over 11,000. So every one of those services is a family, a business, somebody who has hopes to do something in Paradise. So I think it's a really great reflection on how far this community has come. We can clap. Thank you. When we start talking about water quality, it didn't start out so great. The benzene contamination was really something new for people. And I think just like a lot of things in Paradise, we probably now do water quality better than anybody. And I think that our community is smarter about water quality than a lot of people, right? We have a very knowledgeable community. One thing that we've been very proud of is the trust that we have in the community. We did one survey where we found that while a lot of Californians don't trust tap water in general, Paradise residents trust PID tap water more than they would from another city. And I think that's a real testament to how much integration and communication has happened and work that's really happened between Paradise organizations and PID. It hasn't been done alone. We have probably the most densely tested water system in the nation, with samplings happening at an average of every 500 feet of our 172-mile pipeline. And that was the VOC testing, just to make sure that moms and grandmas and business owners felt safe using that water. Even after we were sure, we tested for 2 more years so that we could have that water quality assurance. And it's a great place to be in this landscape where you have other water quality issues that are coming forward in the nation and the world. In the United States, there's an estimated 10 million service laterals that have lead in them. None of those are in Paradise. We have been rigorously investigating, and really, a lot of our service laterals have been replaced recently. But other than that, even, for the standing homes and the businesses, we have participated in, we started in 22 doing the inventory for EPA, and we're just not finding the lead, which is great news for Paradise. So we know that we are VOC free, we're lead free, we have some of the cleanest water. And then now the EPA and the whole world is grappling with PFAS, right? And you start to hear about these forever chemicals that are man-made from manufacturers. They're in your non-stickware and really in places where manufacturing happened. And the EPA, they're not even done defining the regulation for it. So they believe that they will have a limit in water of 4 parts per trillion. That means if you take 1 trillion drops of water, only 4 of those drops could have that in it. So they are doing a lot to make sure that these limits and that the nation's water agencies will be treating water to prevent about that. So they have given water agencies in the United States until 2027 to test their systems for PFAS. We tested ours proactively in 2023, and then we did 4 more sample runs with the EPA, and we're not finding any. We don't expect that because of our watershed being in the mountains that we have a high risk for it, but that doesn't mean that we're going to get complacent. We're doing another round of testing this year. And another thing that PID is doing that that is not required is publishing those results. So if you look in our 2020, if you look in our water quality reports from last year, those test results are in there, and we will continue to do that. I really feel like Paradise is the place where no matter what we're doing, we do it better. And I say, and when we talk about the insurance problem, I always tell people, if you have a problem, talk to someone in Paradise because those people can solve it. Strategic infrastructure investments. This is really always fun to talk about because it means traffic stops and construction and inconveniences, which we're all tired of. And I am sorry, not sorry, because some of this is really good stuff. As an underground utility, we've been tearing up your roads for 100 years and we'll be doing it for 100 more. But we're really trying hard not to tear up the new ones. So we have the Elliott Road pipeline that we're doing now that is old steel main line that's under the ground. We're trying our hardest to get that done before the town comes in and repaves. And the town has been absolutely great about working with us and all the other contractors. I'm not even sure how many, but I think I made the correlation before between herding cats. But it might be harder, right? Because we have our own agendas. There will be some new roads that we have to cut in afterwards, but we are doing our best to minimize it. We have 40 more miles of steel pipe. We've been working on this project since the 90s. We'll be working on replacing that pipe for decades, and then we'll start over, replacing the pipe that was put in the 50s and 60s. This year, we were able to also do some hazard mitigation projects, not just this year, but in the past couple of years. We have provided redundant pipeline from Magalia, transmitting water down into town. So if something, God forbid, happened to our main transmission pipe, we have a backup now. We also have, most of our system is gravity fed. We do have one area north of Wagstaff that requires pumping into that. So we have redundant pumps in that zone. Rebecca, our treatment plant, our very talented treatment plant superintendent, is here. She is doing projects at the treatment plant to make those processes easier, more streamlined. She's putting in new equalizer tanks, so those will be dual tanks, so that we don't have to interrupt the cleaning our water and sending it down to Paradise just to do maintenance on our plant. So there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. We are, now that we've replaced the B reservoir tanks that were damaged from the fire, as you guys know, some people would call those like the spaceships that are up on Skyway. Now we can get to work on our other 3 tanks, or 3 of our other tanks that need rehab. Those have to be done about every 50 to 100 years. It was on the schedule for 2019. It's a $5.5 million project that will be done this year. Just when we're talking about cost escalation, in 2019, it was a $1.5 million project. Magalia Dam rehab, we are still working on design. We're about 60% design on rehabbing Magalia, and once that work is done, we'll be able to fill up that reservoir to full storage level, which will be a great increase in the reliability and resilience for Paradise. Those plans are being reviewed by FEMA. Somebody told me it's going to take them a year to review them. That's okay because the BRIC funding also got pulled. So we have some time. Our legislative activities, though, we're making an effort to get that funding back, and we're hearing great things about the current administration and how we can work with them to get that funding back. Our transparent finance and responsible rates. We are doing a rate study this year. We're probably one of the last agencies to do that since the fire. Our last rate study was in 2015, so it's been a decade. And when we created those rates, we haven't had a rate increase for several years. We know that one is imminent, especially when you talk about the rise. You know, if you look at just the tank project from $1.5 million to $5.5 million, everything is more expensive. We are subsidizing the rates with the fire settlement. We plan to continue to do that so that these rates are not, making the difference in somebody's lifestyle. You have a lot of places that are having to raise rates 20 and 30%. Our aim is to continue to subsidize and keep those rates reasonable and in single digits. In addition to the things that you can't see, like the underground work, we're doing other things that you can't see, like GIS and IT upgrades. The GIS asset management system is going to make us a little bit more nimble in making decisions. And we will instantly get a list when you turn off a valve here, who is that affecting? It's going to help really streamline programs, make us more prepared for emergency management. We're also doing things in the customer service department. We just eliminated the credit card fees. I know we're probably the last ones in the world to do that, but it's done. We are investing in programs that you can use, text to pay, and trying to make things easier for everybody. And then looking ahead, all the things I was just talking about, we are really excited about the end of this service lateral project. So we're having a celebration this year. We are rebranding, and that rebranding is going to really be a representative of where we've come, who we've come along with, and where we are now. We're really excited about doing some art installations. We know that art and culture is very important to Paradise, so we have these tanks that will just be painted this year and rehabbed, and so we'll be exploring ideas and ways to install art for the benefit of the community. And lastly, I just want to say thank you. It's really an honor to be working for the people of Paradise. I always think that the best water company is the one you never have to think about. And that's really our goal, is just for you to be able to turn on the tap, drink your water, give your kids a glass of water, and not have to worry, and know that we'll be there when you need us.
So as the former CEO for the Gold Nugget Days Incorporated Gold Nugget Museum, I completely understand the value of gold. Completely. And its influence historically on this community. What you heard just a few moments ago is the new gold. When we look at water, when we calculate its value, it is truly gold. And I'm telling everybody who wants to move to this community, and I'll probably get in trouble for it, it's the best water on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce our next person, though she doesn't really need much of an introduction. She's pretty much all over the community. But for the Rebuild Paradise Foundation, their executive director, Ms. Jen Goodland. You want that up? You want that? You go, girl.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Great job, Mickey, by the way. Well, I'm Jen, Rebuild Paradise Foundation. If I haven't met you in person yet, please come see me after we do this presentation. What am I doing wrong? Which way do I point it? Oh, there we go. So we are three moms. We are Jen, Lindsay, and Stacy, and we are really just three moms who love this community and have a very deep passion for it. We really just, at the heart of everything we do, it's a little bit unconventional, and we have an incredibly supportive board, and we just tackle the hurdles that maybe aren't being met in other areas. So kind of our history, just a real quick, we've granted over $2.5 million to rebuilding efforts to get people back in their homes with our septic and missing middle grants. We have our master floor plan library, which is still going. We host the septic map, fun fact. We pay over $10,000 for that, and the town is gonna help partner with that in the future. We spearheaded the first Firewise community. We love to change the narrative of our town. If you have not been to our handprint mural yet, you are missing out. It is an incredible mural display of the children that have lived here 5 years post-fire. I think, like, in my life, when I think the thing I will be the most proud of, it is that wall. My kids' handprints are on that, by the way. We advocate hard for this community, and you'll learn more. I feel like we have a really good reputation. We are everyone's friend. I don't care who you are, who you associate with. I love what you do for our town. So what we are really focusing hard on right now is homeowner safety and insurability. So at Rebuild Paradise, we try to gauge, like, what's happening. We are an ever-changing town with ever-changing needs, and our foundation has tried to be ever-changing, addressing those needs. So back in 2023, we started seeing this massive change with insurance, like just escalating prices, people going on Fair Plan. This was impacting my own family. Policy from $2,500 to $12,000. I'm like, this is not sustainable for our recovery. In no way is this sustainable. So we began to brainstorm, how can we start interjecting in this really big hurdle that is coming our way? And so I called my own insurance company. What can I do for a discount? And she said, well, let me look. Well, you can start a Firewise community. And I was like, well, what's that? We used to be one. We weren't anymore. Why aren't we doing this? 3% is nothing when your policy just went to $12,000. But I think it was more about, we can do something, right? Shifting the power back to us a little bit. So I talked with Lauren DeTerra from Butte Fire Safe Council. We worked together, and I knew that what we were reading online was confusing, but if I could strip it down and start the first Firewise community, others would follow suit. And that is exactly what happened. So I started the first Firewise community, Billy Park neighborhood. We now have 17. We knew that this was not enough. So we really brainstormed. We work a lot with an organization called the Institute for Business and Home Safety. And they award certificates to homeowners who have created very fire-safe homes. In our minds, we were like, why don't we have like every home certified here? Because insurance likes seeing this. This is another discount. Why? We are building to the highest standard. We have all this fuel reduction. Why is nobody getting this certification? So we asked them, where's your biggest hurdle in a homeowner receiving this certification? And it was in the zone directly next to their house. We call that zone 0. It's the first 5 feet of your house. So you have this new home, you have everything right, but you have plants next to it or something else combustible, and it's preventing you from getting this certificate that, quite frankly, should be the simplest thing here. So we thought, how do we help promote Zone 0? What if we are the resource? What if we provide the gravel? Like, first of all, this is gonna make a home safer. In our community, it's honestly gonna help with some curb appeal. And then maybe it will help with the certification process. Maybe insurance will start seeing us safer. This is all just an idea, right? We don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen, but we know that it's better than nothing, and it's such a nominal cost for what it could do, right? So in May of 2024, about a year ago, we released our Defensible Space gravel grants. And at that time, we had no idea. It exploded immediately. We were not prepared. We had major insurance companies sending people to our little nonprofit because simultaneously, this was no longer we want you to do this. It was starting to become you must do this. And so we couldn't have predicted that timing of insurance doing that. So we ran out of money almost immediately. But we continued to seek funding. We continued to try to help as many people as possible. But I knew this still was not enough. I just was so frustrated by what we were doing and and the continuance of us making it worse and worse for us. So imagine a town, the most ideal town, doing everything they can to be fire safe and just continually being punished with the insurance. And I needed someone to see this. So one way of doing that apparently is to find out an event the insurance commissioner will be at and take a board member and chase him down. So Casey Taylor and I were at an event, and the insurance commissioner presented for 5 minutes, began to leave, and I was not about to let that happen. We chased him. I'm not kidding. Someone grabbed a picture of it. And he said, "Oh, hi, where are you from?" And I said, "Paradise," his face fell. And what I do know is he's not my enemy. He is the person who can help us. And I made sure that he knew that. And this is also the town working in the background. They're trying to get him here. We need him to see what we're doing. And he did end up coming to our community that fall, a lot because of the town's proactiveness, but he remembered me and Casey. So we still weren't done. I attend meetings with another nonprofit called United Policyholders, and they are advocates for insurance through the state. And I go to a monthly meeting called WRAP. And they, at a point, had 2 insurance companies present, AAA and Mercury Insurance, claiming if you do XYZ, we will help you, we will give you discounts, we will insure you. I was actually extremely upset on the call, knowing that they're not doing this. So don't say you're going to do something and then not. And so I waited patiently till the end, and I'm so grateful that one of the admins let me have a minute to speak to them. Both insurance companies agreed to speak to me separately. I painted the picture of what we are doing here. We have to have the highest concentration of homes built to the highest WUI standards in the state. There's just nowhere else like it, right? It's not just that. It's Park and Rec. It's Butte Fire Safe Council. It's our Defensible Space Grant. What else can we do, right? And so AAA helped fund our gravel grant program, and then Mercury Insurance asked me what they wanted, and I said, I would like you to come here. And so they did. I gave a tour to the president and wildfire team in October. It was very strategic. I took them to homes with wildfire prepared home certification that were on the California FAIR Plan. And the best thing I could say was that the president was in disbelief, just like me. And he couldn't understand why someone wouldn't be insuring us. So that day he's like, well, I'm gonna insure. I'm gonna pick the best houses and start insuring this town and maybe change the momentum of this big hurdle we're having. So he started with Casey Taylor, one of my boards, and it has continued since then. So right now Mercury is writing about 200 policies for our community in total. They're just over 100. So we work with them directly to help them with homeowners who have received our grants and who have on their own accord created defensible space. So I love, one of the most important things for me to do is anyone, the world, to know that we're humans. And this is one of the humans that used our gravel grant. So she gave us this picture of her home before getting our gravel grant. We said, you have to remove the plants. This is the goal of the grant. And so she did. This is what her home looks like now. She heard about our gravel grant program because she is part of a fire-wise community, which told her about our grant program, which she then changed her home. She's in a fire zone 10 with an older home. We saw her home and we said, we want you to try to apply for Mercury. And she said, they won't insure me. And I said, you have a stucco home with a new roof, and she has excellent clearance around her whole house. They could say no, but they didn't. They had her put mesh under her railing, and they are now insuring this family. You just need to know it's possible. This is another family, Carrie and Forrest. We showed this story to the insurance commissioner. I had about 2 minutes, And I needed him to see that this is a reflection of what is happening to almost every homeowner. And so we timelined this family's journey from their policy rate from 2022 and then what happened to 24. So they went from $4,000 to $21,000. This family no longer feels like they are able to stay in Paradise. That's not okay. They have incredible defensible space, have built their home with fire safety in mind, and are in a fire-wise community. I asked the insurance commissioner to change this family's story, and they needed like a new bubble for 2025. Like this has to change, and they are now paying $1,000 a year with Mercury Insurance. So here are some of our homeowners, 200 gravel grant recipients to date, 17 Firewise communities. This is Butte Fire Safe Council, not me. I'm not going to take the credit. I was like, I'll give you the guide, and you got to take this. I'm way too busy. We've helped over 100 homeowners save around $4,000 annually on insurance. So our biggest hope, even when Mercury started with this cannot be one insurance company. We need to create a competitive market and have other eyes look at us. So even Mercury is wanting us to bring other insurers. This helps them. So I have worked hard in the background to find different strategies of how to get the eyes and attract other insurers. So next week I will be attending the California Department of Insurance Global Summit. It is leaders and insurance commissioners worldwide. It is 200 people, and it was invite only, so I invited myself. It is hosted, and I just like cold emailed somebody, and they said I could come. So you know what? I don't belong there, but I totally belong there at the same time. So also with all this happening, I worked hard on building a profile on LinkedIn that showcases a more professional side, which is really not me very much. But in that, we posted a video of a homeowner in Paradise who has a beautiful garden, yet defensible space. This caught the eyes of a different president of an insurance company called CIG. So I got to talk to him, and he is going to partner with Rebuild Paradise Foundation, come to our community and start hopefully writing insurance policies here. And then this summer, we are hosting an insurance forum for our community. We need this for residents to understand how to make their home insurable. Understand we are still in a high fire community. Fire is part of our climate, but there are things we can do to reduce our risk. So we want to connect homeowners to resources, to other insurers, hopefully, and create an environment where they can learn real news, not get information that's all over the place. And so mark your calendar, July 29. We are still looking for some partners in that, so come to me if you are interested in helping in any way. And so changing the narrative, I feel like this is the pride and joy and the background and heart of Rebuild Paradise. So Adventist Health, I'm so sorry I turned in my dental hygiene degree and became an Instagram influencer in Paradise. On average, we have about 100,000 unique viewers on our social media looking at Paradise. This is extremely important to us for people to see that we are not a burned down town, that we are actually a place with incredible opportunity. We also have to be insurable to be a place with incredible opportunity. So we make videos. I have had a lot of social or media presence. I got to speak on NPR with Steve Inskeep. We've just had an incredible opportunity to continue to tell the story of Paradise so many years later, and it is very important to us. We do our best to always bring people here. We live it. It's very organic. When you see a video of us, sometimes it is not planned. Actually, it usually almost is never planned. And then we are really in the background of so many different things. We are on the committee of Make a Difference Days. Thank you, Erin. I know you were here somewhere. for helping really pull that together. We help with the Career Expo with Rotary. And then one of my favorite side jobs ever is when I get to give tours. And recently I got to host over 25 Asian students from Southeast Asia, and I got like the mic thing in the bus. I was like, welcome to Paradise, California, burnt downtown. And it was so much fun. So we're just kind of a little all over the place, but it's because our heart is always what is for the betterment of our community. So if we see something that is good and right for our community, we like really step into that. So, and I talked to you about, we still have our septic map, our master floor plan library, which will be making kind of a big transition next year as it goes into the hands of the engineers. So, how you can help. And this is a hard one for me, and it takes a lot of humility. We are a privately run nonprofit. We get all of our money philanthropically, and we are running out. It is super hard to find money almost 7 years after our fire. And we will currently be out of funding about February of this next year. We feel like it is not time for us to leave yet, though. And so we are working hard to raise funds for a few more years. We are hosting a fundraiser on June 7th. It's $50 a ticket. As the heart of who we are, it's mostly to get people here. It will be at the distillery here in Paradise. It will showcase our food, and it will be an interactive way to showcase what Rebuild Paradise has done. And we will have the Kelly Twins piano there. It's just going to be a fun night. So if you can come, please do. That will help us immensely. And we like just have incredible support. I know we're running out of funding, but we have had tremendous people step in within our own community, other nonprofits in our community. I don't want to, we are the nonprofit up here, but there are so many doing incredible work that it's not just us. And then obviously you should probably follow us on social media now. And a few weeks ago, my staff, Lindsay, she's not here today, but if you ever get a chance to meet her, she is, in my mind, the success behind Rebuild Paradise. She's so smart, and she does all the hard work, and she makes everything look really cute. She stuck this on the wall without me knowing, and it says, if there's a book you want to read, but it hasn't been written yet, then you must write it. The same is true of any endeavor. If the solution you seek doesn't exist, create it.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Raise your hand if you're inspired by the way she shares her information. Jen, you're incredible, and we thank you so much for creating. What I'd like to do now is our last speaker will be the interim superintendent for the Paradise Unified School District, Betsy Amos.
It sure does. That is going to be very hard to follow. Amazing. And it's a pleasure to be here. I'm Betsy Amos, the interim superintendent of Paradise, and I'm here with Assistant Superintendent David McCready. And we have some board members in the house, Melissa Crick, thank you, and also Rich Shengery, they are here. And I know we all want to see Tom Taylor here. As some of you probably know, he did suffer an accident, but he is recovering and hopefully going to go home in about a week. So I know he would love to be here, but I am honored to be here today in his place. And I am going to get started. Perfect. Wanted to share our mission. This is something we actually worked on for quite a bit. We have worked with students, parents, and the community on it. Mission of PUSD is it will develop a sense of community that ensures success for career and/or college readiness for students. So there was a lot of talk of being ready for careers, and yes, some might be Instagrams, but some we also have a CTE pathway, getting kids or getting students ready for the medical field. So I might be talking to you later. The vision is that all students in PUSD will engage in cutting-edge learning that will hold all educational partners to high expectations and processes that develop continuous learning for all. There are 4 goals that we are really focusing on, and this is it's our 3rd year with 3 of the goals, and this is our 4th year with a new goal. And the first one is improving instruction. Students come to school to learn, and we want them to achieve greatly. And one of the best ways to do it is something we call the PLC model and professional learning communities. And if you have children, you'll know they come home a little early on Wednesdays, and that is because the teachers are collaborating. And they're collaborating around assessments and what did, students that got it, what did the teacher do? And students that didn't get it, teachers can talk about what can they do to improve their practice. So it's teachers working together, but looking at data. Also improving attendance. We have a tiered attendance plan where all students need to come to school to learn those rigorous standards to be successful. So each school has an action plan, and one level is for all kids, the other level is for those students that start to struggle. We even have a 3rd level for the students that really struggle coming to school. SEL stands for social emotional learning. We developed a program. We didn't develop it. We borrowed it and using it from Harvard University. And really, in a nutshell, we are trying to help educate children to understand their emotions. And as adults, it's always, good to have that skill too. So if a student knows they're getting upset or jealous or frustrated, there's steps and tools that they can use. So we're trying to teach those tools so when they do get in kind of that red zone, they know what to do, because our objective is to teach them every day. And if they're frustrated, it is really hard to learn. And last goal is it's for 2 of our schools, Pila and Ridgeview, and really we're getting state funding to help improve college and career readiness and graduation rate. And we might be able to bring the CTE pathway, the medical CTE pathway, to Ridgeview. So that is very exciting for us. Our staff development day was March 24th, and we have been very lucky to bring in some amazing educators over the nation and around the nation. And so Dr. Jenny Donahue came to us, and she is all about the top way to improve instruction. John Hattie, he's a researcher, and he talked about collective efficacy. And so that is what we are doing with our PLCs, having teachers work together with the true belief they can make a difference. And then she also talked about student efficacy. So how do you build this in students? How do you let students know that they can achieve too, and maybe they don't feel they can? We brought in Dr. Brianna Wall, and she was helping us. How do you help all students? Students with IEPs, diverse racial and cultural backgrounds, students experience trauma or economic hardship. So again, these big educational leaders are coming to Paradise, and we have been doing this for about 2 or 3 years now. Dr. Emily Freeland comes to us too, and she talked about the classroom dynamic. We have to have a classroom where students feel safe to learn. The transitions, I'm just going to click right through them. Tom Taylor created this presentation, and so I'm sure he had great transitions, but I'm just going to move through them. But we are getting a district-wide resource officer starting next year, and we are really excited about it. Yes. And it's with wonderful collaboration with Paradise Police. If we didn't have that connection, this wouldn't be happening. We started in January 2023, and as you can see at the bottom there, August 2025, the SRO, we call them, will be starting to support students, staff, families, really trying to build that relationship and help students and families and teachers bring more success to students. This is amazing, and I see someone in the audience from CAL FIRE that had a big part in this. I am going to read something from Jake Tim, who is our Director of Facilities, but this was a very big event for PUSD, April 18th, 2025. There was a control burn in Magalia. We have about, I believe it's 63.5 acres. And let me put on my glasses and I'll read a little. The Butte Fire Safe Council facilitated. Terra Fuego was contracted for the preparation and prescribed burn. CAL FIRE and Firestorm were there in support. It was 63.5 acres and 60 acres were treated. Jake also says the Mechoopda tribe worked on fuel reduction in the watershed that is there, and that was not treated with the prescribed burn. This was a success, and this is when we heard the different groups talk about this. I think the board and everyone that was in that room was blown away by fire science and see it as a positive way to help keep our community safe. So that was a real success, and those of you that are out there today that helped with it, thank you so much. And here is our CTE for emergency and response. Something that's exciting. We are in the process of acquiring 8 hospital beds and 8 monitors from a county hospital. This will add opportunities for all students in the emergency response medical pathway. We would hope to begin partnering with other agencies to expand our program. So this is embedded in Paradise High School, and it's a CTE pathway, and that's really focusing on careers. So how can students get that background so when they do start at a JC or a college, they already have a large background to jump from. We also have an agriculture CTE that focuses on trades, welding, electrical, plumbing, and sheet metal. And then down below, you'll see some pictures of our FFA, which does leadership and livestock. There's the pig. We also have construction and woodworking, and this focuses on building, which is a great thing to have in Paradise. And again, hoping to train our students because lots of them do stay, and so they'll have the skills as all of you are doing to help rebuild. And they're currently building the tiny house in partnership with North Valley Contractors Exchange. This is a real focus for us to continue the CTE education programs and some future plans for this. Most all of you have probably heard of the Ridgeview Rangers. They are doing a lot in our community and also working with trying to get that to be a pathway for CTE in forestry and natural resources. Also building, like I said, at Ridgeview, the emergency response medical pathway and expanding programs and pathways to meet growing needs. And when we talk to parents or do surveys, a lot of the parents say, please make it important. Please let my children want to come to school. You know, give them hope for what they want to do. And we are seeing these in the CTE pathways. Kids are excited because they're seeing themselves beyond school. Or the question your children might ask, mine do, is, why are we learning this? And so this is really evident of why it's so important. This is very exciting. This opened this year. It's our PUSD Health and Wellness Resource Center. It's in Magalia on the Pine Ridge School property, and it's a center for all. It has comprehensive services to support the well-being of students and families in Paradise, Magalia, and Sterling City. It's a central hub. I will let you kind of look at the rest of them. And so this is a place where we have principals, teachers being able to give those resources to our communities. I know you were there helping support it. And so this is a place that's like a one-stop shop for anything a family may need to help pay the bills or to help get some counseling or just to help do some outreach and be more part of the community. And this is through a grant that we were able to open this. We do have some new district admin, which is really exciting for us. Director of Food Services is Marissa Stevens. You all might have known Tanya Harder, who does all the food at every site for us. So Marissa is coming to us. We were able to hire 2 Dynamo principals because 2 of our principals are retiring, and they are doing a great job of closing down the school and passing it off. So Jennifer Childs will be at Pine Ridge School. She comes to us from BCOE, and John Betancourt will be at Paradise Ridge Elementary, and that is the same Betancourt of the teacher that works at Pine Ridge, so Shelly Betancourt. So they we're very excited to have them joining us. And I'll just go through these slides, but I did hear you might need some artists for some tanks or for some other electrical things. And just to highlight, we have arts going through all the grade levels. We have some wonderful things happening at the elementary, at the junior high, at Ridgeview High, And also, this was the superintendent's high school art show. So that is something that we continue to support, and students love it. And this is where I get to pass it over to Mr. David McCready.
So I was going to talk about construction, the new construction since the campfire. The following sources have funded approximately $155 million in new projects for your children. Fire insurance to travelers, PG&E settlement funds, hold harmless funds from the California Department of Education, state construction funds, and Measure Y bond funds, and that was the bond that passed 2 days before the fire. Some pictures of the major projects, PHS classroom building. This is about $26.3 million. You can see the back here. The PHS science and library modernization, this was about $9.4 million. PHS gym, estimated cost was about $8.4 million. Ridgeview was about $13.4 million. Junior high was $16.2 million. Paradise Ridge Elementary was almost $25 million. Pine Ridge was about almost $17 million. And Cedarwood was the last major project that just was completed, almost $24 million. And these are just most of the major projects. There are other projects that I'm not listing today. Enrollment growth. The enrollment group we have meets every October to try to look at what we think is going to happen. And so far, based on enrollment by grade, building permits issued, repopulation assumptions, our enrollment projections are as follows. You can see before the fire, we were at 3401, we'll call that 100%. And then just this last year, we were at 1732, we're right at about 51% of what we were pre-fire. Our enrollment's been so strong that we think we're probably going to be about 5, and 4% growth. And we're growing at approximately 5% a year, and adding a lot of portables at Paradise Ridge Elementary School is not a good long-term solution. So based on the current projected growth rates, we need to build what we're build in phases for Paradise Elementary School in the same spot where it was. And phase 1 should be completed by August of 26. That'd be for the 26-27 school year. This is what it'll look like. This would be the front of the school. This is, in order to save some money, about $1 million in architectural fees. What you just saw at Paradise Ridge is this building right here, and then all of these other buildings are the same buildings that are at Cedarwood. So if you want to see what it's going to look like, you can go through those sites. Potential work of phase 1 is the site work, excavation, playgrounds, driveways, multi-purpose room, admin building, kindergarten wing, and probably 1, 2, maybe 3 classroom wings. What is construction in phase 1 will depend on the cost of each building, and we're getting those costs right now. We hope to begin construction probably in June. That's the plan. Okay, so since the local bond didn't pass, how are we going to pay for this? It's a great question. After numerous public meetings and hearing input from students, teachers, parents, the general public, our board approved a construction project's priority order. It's been reviewed and revised time over time as follows. We did it in 18, we did it in 20, we did it in 22, and we just did it again in 24. So in order to build Paradise Elementary, projects 5 through 11 on the most recent construction priority list are now on hold. This is what the list looks like. We get all that input. Because the bond didn't pass, all of these are now on hold. We need to reallocate all of the remaining bond funds into Paradise Elementary. And I know this is hard to see, but unfortunately it's reality. The funding plan, so we just issued a certificate of participation. It sold about 3 weeks ago. And it's in combination with state funding we're eligible for in the general fund transfers. And we've used COPs in the past. This was popular in the 90s and early 2000s for the district. The principal is about $27.8 million. We do have that now in the bank, and we're going to pay it back with the old Measure Y funds. It allowed us to get the funds ahead of time. In addition, Paradise Elementary will need to be built in phases. Funding becomes available over the next potential 6 years. Measure Y, we have about $27.8 million of the $61 million that was authorized. That will be used to pay back the COP. And I hope I did that fast enough. Any questions? All right.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we don't want to go too long because we know you're hungry, and if you had to look at that food over there, Amazing. So what we're going to do is we're going to entertain a few questions. Now, I want to emphasize the format of this is not for you to make a large statement. We don't want to go that route. If you have a particular question for one of the individuals, the speakers that has been up here, please, let's go ahead and ask that. But I've got one mic. So I'm going to have to come to you, and then we'll bring it back and have the speaker answer the question. There's also an opportunity for networking afterwards. So you'll have an opportunity to talk with people while you're doing the networking process. So don't feel like your questions aren't going to be answered. But we wanted to entertain a couple of questions. So do we have one question? Anybody? Anyone at all? I'm sorry, anyone?
Thank you, Mark. Could we have Mr. McCready clarify the conversations around why the bond was critical for Paradise Elementary and why we're still able to fund it without the bond?
So I believe the question is how we're able to pay for it with the remaining funds. So Measure Y was authorized 2 days before the fire for about $61 million. So far, we've issued, it was like 33.3 million. So we have 27.8 million in bonding authority. We will issue those bonds, and it doesn't increase anybody's, that's already as part of your property taxes. We'll issue that in 2 years, 4 years, and 6 years, and that's what we'll use to pay back the principal on the COP that we just sold. It's basically borrowing the money. We're going to be using, we'll pay back the interest from the general fund on the cost of the COP, but the children are coming and we need to be ready. So that's why we're having to do this. But again, like we said, we had to put a number of those projects on hold because we need to build the school. Did that answer your question?
You guys are making this easy. Ma'am, you notice I'm calling you ma'am now. Melissa.
Could we have Jen Goodland clarify the application process for those that are interested in applying for Mercury?
Thank you. Jen, if you could, and if you don't mind standing up here so we can get you on the camera. Thank you.
It's not really an application, it's a vetting process, and we actually have a link on our website. You can call me directly, but we kind of just vet the homeowner. You have a newly constructed home, you have a defensible space. They would really like you to be on Fair Plan or uninsured because they are trying to get us out of that pit. So generally speaking, that's the criteria, and you do have to bundle an auto policy. So if you fill out the form on our website, you have to show us pictures. People do not understand what having nothing combustible is in Zone 0. I can assure you that almost every application I have has the Japanese maple under the kitchen window. You can't have that right there.
They burn? Any other questions? Yes.
For the town manager, wherever, up there we go. So the big issue is we're going to be paving the roads, but then they're going to have to be dug up again by PID, PG&E, AT&T, or anybody else. The question, I suppose, is the coordination between the town and these other entities that also require undergrounding. How is that going?
Great question. Thank you. As Mickey said, there has been a collaborative process going on, ongoing, for the past few years as we've been on this journey. So there is a frequent utility undergrounding committee that I think meets weekly or every other week, or lots of very direct communication between all of the utilities that are undergrounding in the community. We're working very hard with PID to stay ahead, for them to stay ahead of our paving with their undergrounding. Again, they are part of that underground utility committee that meets to collaborate on all of that effort. And it is a challenge, but we are doing our very, very best to stay ahead of it because we don't want to tear up our roads.
Anyone else? The lady behind you is first.
Also for Jim, I'm wondering how we can learn more about the Downtown Action Plan and maybe get involved and get some input there.
That again is something that's just starting, as I mentioned, and so we're moving into this phase 3 effort, which is development of the downtown plan. We will be putting together actually a coordinating group of interested residents in that process, and so you'll be hearing more about that soon.
Cliff?
Thank you. I just want to say that when Jen said they're running out of money, we need to support them because we got our community listed as a fire-safe community, our neighborhood. We got Mercury Insurance to drop our fair plan policy from over $10,000 a year down to $2,270. And we're going to support her in any way we can, and I encourage all of us as a community, we need to look at that because that's a lot of money. And all we had to do was inquire, and she saved us that money. That's how important their group is, and we need to support that.
So I'm going to go ahead and end the question and answer on that note and a note of support. I believe you do, but I do need to move to the next point because we have people that are waiting to eat. Also, you'll have a chance to talk with the individuals individually. I can tell you. There she is. So what I want to do is go ahead and give you this. And I'm sorry to push along. I don't mean to be rude. It's just that we need to move along so that we can complete it within a time frame. I am pleased to introduce Ridge Bucks. Raise your hand if you've heard of it. Thank you. A lot of our merchants have. If you haven't, you will soon. Our new community gift card program designed to support local businesses right here in the Ridge. Ridge Bucks are digital gift cards you can use at participating merchants, helping to keep our local economy thriving. I love it. And to help kick things off, we've got a little surprise. In the spirit of Oprah Winfrey, look under your seat. We have 3 gift cards that you'll be able to use as Ridge Bucks in this community.
Yeah, they're going to be taped right underneath this seat. And if you don't find it, then look at the seat next to you. Try that one, Al.
Please raise it up if you've got one.
Come up here. Woohoo! It's 1, 2, should be one in that row or so. Try next to Amanda. Try all those. It's in this row. No? Do you check under here? In the meantime, let's just
What? I'm nervous. No. Ladies and gentlemen, while you're looking at that last one that I put in my pocket, that is out there somewhere under that chair, has everybody had an opportunity to meet this young lady? You know, in taking over a business, so especially one that's established, we've got our third. It's important that we acknowledge each and every business, and we talked about support, whether it be the distillery, whether it be Nick's, whether it be through the Rebuild Foundation. We have a lot of needs with it. To keep reiterating that, because I think that's extremely important. I'd like you to introduce yourself and carry it from there.
Hi, I'm April Kelly, and I just wanted to thank the community for all of the support from Nick's. Nikki and I opened Nick's only 9 months after the fire. It was a huge undertaking. COVID happened only about 7 months after we opened, so we went through a lot. I know that Nikki's shoes are huge to fill, and so I just want to say thank you so much to the community for all of the support through the years, and especially with me buying the restaurant in January and taking over. I really, really, appreciate everybody's kindness and just coming in and saying congratulations. And of course, hiring for the catering, Adventist and Burnt Barn. And, just thank you so much, everyone, for all the love and support.
There's some last important words that she'd like to share with you right now.
Food is ready.
We'll go ahead and start flowing over here in lines. If you don't mind, take your time. No big hurry, no big rush. And again, if you have questions, feel free to approach those that have been speaking. Casual conversation and networking, what it's all about. Ladies and thank you for being here today.
Thank you very much for doing this.